Welcome back. In this episode, we are going to talk about how to not miss important moments, what I call moments that matter. How to move from the unsensed, the unseen, and the unseized to the sensed, the seen, and the seized. So I'm going to share some very personal stories with you in this episode. And I assure you, you are going to get insights into ways that you can seize those moments that matter every single day of our lives. I'm Doug Andrew. And every day there are moments that matter. Some days we have a dozen or two moments that matter, but many times there's 100 to 200 moments that matter. Unfortunately, many of these go unsensed, unseen, and unseized. So the challenge is to move away from the unsensed to the sensed, the unseen to the seen, and the unseized to the seized. When we talk about moments that matter, I often ask people, what is a key moment and when do they occur? Well, there are three types. There are the planned. This might be kissing your spouse goodbye every morning, eating meals together, studying, praying, doing things together. Those might be the planned moments that matter every day. Then there are the anticipated, maybe the appointments you have scheduled for the day, the errands you know that you're going to run. Those are anticipated. But then you have the unexpected. You didn't see them coming. And it's all how we handle these moments that matter that makes all the difference in our lives instead of getting into this automatic mode. One of my friends is Dr. Robert Cooper. He's a neuroscientist, and he taught me that when we look at the planned and these types of moments, and we look at the anticipated and also the unexpected, it's how we respond or treat them instead of going into this automatic, mindless state of reaction. And he taught me that when we focus on the moments that matter, the brain actually keeps score on how you handle key moments. In other words, do you get negatively entangled in pressure-packed moments and that neural negativity, that resistance and resentment becomes general in your life? You know, I mentor a lot of troubled youth, and in their vernacular, life just sucks. Is that how it is? Or do you use those moments as catalysts to become better, to be able to move on quickly and constructively, and that neural positivity and the learning and growth is what becomes general in your life? I've learned that there are ways that we can react or we can be proactive. So when we talk about proactive, I sometimes call this when wisdom calls, don't give it a busy signal. And I'm going to give you some stories about this. The other one is reactive, and I call these split-second turns. But the key is to be able to develop a habit. In another episode, I'm going to talk about how to develop these habits because this one habit will transform all the rest. So how long does it take to develop a habit? In actuality, when I ask that question, many people say, well, you have to do something 21 times. 30 times. Well, Dr. Robert Cooper, the neuroscientist, said actually you can develop a habit in less than 60 seconds. In another episode, I'll share with you how to do that. But this one habit can transform all the rest. We're talking about moments that matter. Let's say that at any given time throughout the day, you are here. So I'm going to magnify that right there. So you're here in a moment and you notice. See that? Number one, you notice, this moment matters, because sometimes we get into that mindless reaction state where your son or daughter comes up and interrupts you while you're on the computer or reading the newspaper, whatever. And sometimes we just mindlessly go, son, how many times have I told you not to bother daddy when he's on the computer? Well, what does that eventually communicate to your son? That he's not important, your computer's more important. But see, we dig in and we have these old habits and we get into this mindless reaction state. That's just the way I am. You'll have to accept that. Instead, I would recommend that you go to number 2, you pause for an instant to spark curiosity. Is this a moment that matters to my son or to this client or to my sweetheart? When you pause for an instant to arouse curiosity, that allows you to sort of rethink your thinking. Number 3 is you lean into what's possible. What is possible in this moment? And then you become better, more capable, caring, and creative than ever before, instead of entrenching yourself in the past reactions and habits. So as you notice, hey, this moment matters. Pause for an instant to arouse curiosity. You lean into what's possible, and then you become better, more caring, more capable, and you take and seize that moment to learn and grow. This is a game changer. When I first began to think about this, I'm not perfect by any means, but I began to recognize every single day moments that mattered. And instead of a dozen or two, I began to realize there's 50, 60. Some days there are over 100 moments that matter. And as you begin to recognize them, your life will become more abundant. So I want you to view other episodes here about when wisdom calls, don't give it a busy signal, and how to recognize what I call split-second turns. If this is arousing your curiosity, I explain these and many other concepts in my book, Entitlement Abolition. In this book, we talk about how to move those you care about from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset with concepts like this. And the first 4 chapters talk about the traps we get ourselves into, but the last 8 chapters talk about the best ways to escape from that trap, and you have more abundance, and abundance breeds abundance for everybody you care about. I would love for you to have a free copy of this because I'm passionate about helping people understand how to lead those you care about from me to we. Together we're better. This book contains all kinds of ideas like Grandpa's Camp and how to have family vacations with a purpose and how to have equal opportunities instead of equal distribution, how to change your trust to equal opportunities, rules of governance instead of equal distribution. Why there's nothing more unequal than the equal distribution to unequals. People go, huh? Our Creator does not give equal distribution of blessings, let's say of health to all of us, regardless of how some of us may choose to abuse our bodies. See, our Creator gives us equal opportunities, not equal distribution. And when people begin to rethink their thinking, this empowers them. It's 200 pages, 12 chapters. In fact, I recorded an 18-hour master class that you can also immerse yourself into. But if you would like, you can go to entitlementabolitionbook.com and get a copy of this for free. I'll send it to you. Just cover a nominal shipping and handling fee to empower yourself on how to lead from the front.